You are watching Play, Watch, Listen, which is a video game development podcast from video game developers. Today's episode features special guest from Ad Hoc Studios, Pierre Shorette, to talk about Dispatch. And in case you didn't already know, this show is 100% funded by Patreon. We do not accept sponsors, but it also means we don't have to chase trends or do any clickbait or any of that stuff to support the editors or the cast. Patreon supporters also got an unedited version of this episode, and they got it a little bit early. But whether you support the show on Patreon or not, we appreciate you being here, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Wow, I hate it here. Anyway, Pierre, welcome. Hi.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Welcome to.
At least we started on a light subject. You know, just
Really?
a little.
It's the black and
The love
white.
is, I feel like my last conversation with Pierre was like a sad conversation in a bar. So, like for me, that's just we're back where we were a few months
Usually
ago.
what they are.
Yeah.
Really?
You know.
You're sad every time you go to a bar?
Yeah, I mean, where else do you go to drown your sorrows?
To be sad.
That's right. It's what Max Payne would want. Pierre, who are you? What are you doing here?
Hi, I'm Pierre. Austin, I don't know you.
Well, that's why I say well met. Welcome straight into the very typical dynamic of
Yeah, you fit right in.
I ask a question, curious where it leads, and
I mean, the great thing about
all
the
the
dynamic
reasons
is
why I'm immoral and wrong.
That's
the
true,
great thing
yeah.
is Alana has asked Pierre to introduce himself like what 2 or 3 times Alana at
Yeah.
this point. That's the
Yeah.
format. It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
get to
really
the
great to our
intros
guests.
right as we're wrapping up. But no,
Well, thanks
I-
everyone. It's been a great episode.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a chance to play your game before this happened. I am sad to say I did not have that chance, despite knowing so many of the people involved and having worked with a handful of your illustrious cast. But sadly, yes, I'm flying a little blind and happy to just listen to you talk. I also, as if it wasn't bad enough, I also have to duck out early. So
Wow.
I'm mostly just gonna
Wow.
not be
Well, why
there.
even fucking do this? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the?
Yeah.
It was worth it for the money, though, right? Like that's in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Alana,
Like, we're getting
Video
paid.
game we still have not mentioned, by the way.
yeah.
Pierre,
True.
who are you?
Hi.
What are you doing here?
Can I be honest with you? I probably have been avoiding this because I think I hate introducing myself probably the most of everything.
All right, well, co-founder
If
of
you had
Ad
to
Hoc
weigh,
Studio.
if you had to weigh introducing
Austin!
yourself,
I'm trying to
Austin!
do it.
yeah, but come on, it's on brand. If you had to weigh introducing yourself against your feelings on use of AI in which one do you hate more?
I would generate every game in AI.
Over
At that
introducing
point,
yourself?
yeah.
All right.
Over
Maybe we
can
should
we-
use
Yeah.
AI
In
to
that
do
case,
the
Alana,
intro.
go ahead.
That's what I'm
we
thinking.
should do. Yeah.
What if we AI generate his introduction? This is PI's co-founder of Ad Hoc Studio.
We can do
of-
it right now. I could throw it at ChatGPT. We can see what
No!
spits out.
No,
No.
we're not doing that.
No. There are jokes.
He wrote Dispatch.
I'm
Among
a
a
writer
team
on
of people-
Dispatch is a more accurate
Ad Hoc
description.
Studio.
Mm.
Yes. You were just watching streams because episodes 3 and 4 just came out. Pierre, how was that?
Yeah. It's cool. So there is, not to be too spoilery, but chapter 4 is kind of the horny episode. And there's some I'm really stoked that we have a game where we have a nudity like toggle at the beginning of the game, and then just hit you with some just peen within like 10 minutes. Really stoked about that.
Yeah.
But I think the
Did you
nudity
put that in
people were
the, was
after
that
is
in the
coming soon.
script?
Oh yeah.
Was that,
yeah.
and then a full
It's
penis
just dumb
scene?
shit. It's just like, yeah, it's just like the Human Torch thing. You know, it's just like, well, you're on fire. Like, how you still have clothes on? You know,
Out of
or
the-
like the
as an
Hulk spandex. You know,
If it hadn't been in the script, would that have meant it was improvised by the actors during the recording? Because I'm fairly certain there's rules against that. That the
How many
SAG and
intimacy
whatnot.
coordinators did you have in the VO studio?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
Thankfully, we didn't do any mocap on that sequence, But,
Okay, exactly.
but there are some
Yeah.
volunteers on the cast.
in the
Do you
team,
think
yeah.
anybody's ever mocapped a dick before?
I feel like Larian
know.
holds the answer.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
no.
should
Someone
ask.
has.
Yeah.
That would be a
Email
tough
Sven.
Some jokes.
application.
It would be. Now I'm well, maybe for like if there's like animated VR porn, maybe they do that.
I mean, bone
I don't think
tracking
anyone
has
does
come
that
a long
happening.
way, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
true.
Much to unpack.
How many total episodes are there, by the way? How far are we
8
into
total
the...
episodes.
So we're right at the midpoint of your rollout.
We're right at the midpoint. We got 2 more weeks after this. The finale comes out on a day that I should know, but I don't.
Great.
I think it's the
That's
12th,
okay.
but I'm not totally sure.
Taking it 2 eps at a time.
2
To be
episodes
honest,
at
I
a
really
time.
can't wait to check it out because it was one of those where when I first saw the trailer, I felt like this feels very much, I'm in the nucleus of the demographic that I think a game like this is made for. As someone who's just forever
Co-hosting a podcast with someone in the cast, is that one
that
of the
is what
demographics you're
puts me,
talking
yeah,
about?
that is
Yeah,
my
he's
demographic.
legally
yeah.
obligated to play.
Bullied
favorite-
into
do
playing
it.
it at the
My
earliest
favorite
opportunity.
games are my favorite games ever made are God of War accessibility and Onion platformers.
Thank you. Thank you. It
Beautiful.
means a lot. It means a lot. It's
I have no other taste. I've actually never played other games.
well, you can play
Those two
Cyberpunk
specific things,
and
one
Gears
of which
5.
isn't out yet.
I never found you in Cyberpunk, Alana. That is not an issue for us to discuss today, but I genuinely never found you in like 70 hours of playing.
You only find me if you're in the
I need to take
Nomad
the shot.
life path.
Oh, there we go. That's why then. I was
Yeah.
corpo. Yeah. That's a
Ugh.
shame.
Anyway,
I like to live that lifestyle in my playtime. You know, it's a nice break
see what
from
it would be like.
communism. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's
I put down Das Kapital and I
yeah, no, that I get that respect.
We know you never put that down.
It's here right now.
listening to the audiobook while I play. Anyway,
Yeah.
how's the episodic thing going?
That's what
that
I
was
was going to ask.
my question I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Why episodic?
Why episodic? Well, I think that when it goes well, it goes well. It's been a while since we've had sort of monoculture where everyone was sort of tuning in week to week, on things. And I think, I don't know, it also just takes me some time to want to get into something. And I think that projects that, especially in games, I mean, or bingeable shows, it feels like they kind of hit, everyone consumes it, and everyone moves on really quickly. And then by the time it's over, the hype of it's died down and I forget all about it. Like I still haven't watched Fallout, which is wild, like I have every reason to have watched that series, but like that was kind of a perfect example to me of a show that like had like a 2-week whirlwind around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then something else came along versus something like Shogun, which came out. I didn't watch it for the first half of the season. And then I jumped in and I'm like, oh, this is the greatest show ever. What the fuck, So I had some time to catch up. And yeah, so I think that with us, it's interesting. We launched episode 1, I guess, a week ago now. We had a peak concurrent of like 12K maxed like up until today, and we're at like 67K right now.
Concurrents?
Yeah.
Because
Holy shit.
because you're becoming like a event essentially, or you're becoming multiple sequential events because the episodes. That's really cool.
That's
That's
such
very
a
weird,
big
yeah.
jump. That's crazy.
Mm.
Wow.
I know, it's wild. I mean, we picked up people along the way, right? So for the week, I also think that maybe the like ADHD, Adderall rattle folks that all need like fucking, they need it right away. They need I don't know. I feel like we're forcing people into like this no nut November wait that is insane to be asking
You
people
clearly
to do
did
these
write
days.
this game based on what you've said so far.
Yeah.
It's all very
Yeah. So
unplanned.
I mean, delayed gratification is like a thing that we kind of like that everyone almost like pushes you away from in every marketing thing. Like everyone told us not to do this for what it's worth, but I actually think it's working for us. It also gives us a longer window to be relevant in a
That's
in a
the thing
period
that's
of time.
interesting.
Yeah.
And you're not delaying it. It's not like, say, like The Walking Dead back in the day where it's months. You're doing it 2 episodes a week, right?
Yeah.
That's
which is like,
so it's delayed, but also people aren't losing interest in the gap. Like you are building that. It's
Right.
cumulative.
Or just
That's
forget
cool.
it.
coming at it at
That's
a
the
normal
challenge.
cadence.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think we don't. I think we've basically been telling people it's in the can. It is in the can. It's in the can in that way that like it can be released, but we're still tweaking in the background. Like
Of course.
any artists will,
I was going to ask actually specifically about that because the way I've often heard one of the selling points of the episodic content is you get some of the upside benefits of live ops games where there is the potential to react to the initial onboarder, the early adopters, and realize, ooh, there's stuff downstream content that we can improve, if not bake it directly into it, where the last episodes would actually somehow be impact. I mean, that's sort of that's a different model, usually a different kind of conceit.
Totally.
But the notion that keep it a little bit alive for the sake of that reactivity that's actually baked in. I was going to ask if that was part of it at all, or if it's mostly
I mean,
the other stuff you've said.
I think the timeline is so tight that it's difficult to do that. I mean, there have been certain things
Sure.
that we've been able to tweak that are just like kind of UI sort of things or like clarity stuff that we can get out in front
Maybe
of
ask
or
Alana.
it was quick. It was what are we, 10 minutes in? I thought it was gonna be like at least a half hour.
What I
The
deserve.
Yeah, but I do think that I mean with episodic back in the day with Telltale, we definitely did do that. Like Tales from the Borderlands. I don't think when we shipped episode one of Tales from the Borderlands, I don't think we knew who like the stranger was, if anyone's familiar with that series, which is fucking
That's my
not how you
favorite.
should do
Insane.
That's
anything.
my
That is crazy.
favorite. For the
And
record,
that's
that's
why
my
it took
favorite
so
Telltale.
long between releases, right? Yeah.
Totally. So I
Wow.
think that's the sacrifice is we actually have a tighter window, but we also have more time to actually write something that we think is good and dialed in and not sort of like laying the track as the train is going, kind of the way that things were at Telltale. So,
It weirdly
so yeah,
mirrors like
so
what's happened with Prestige TV as well, right? That it used to be that like you would be filming like the first episode of a season of Star Trek while you were
mhm,
still writing the later seasons, but then the later episodes. But as the seasons have constricted and the production has slowed down, they have had more of it in the bag before they release that first episode, right?
totally,
It's
yeah,
an interesting echo.
Well,
Yeah.
and obviously the highly serialized. There's essentially no anthological shows at all, except for those that's their shtick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that Del Toro Cabinet of Curiosities or whatever. It's like modern Twilight Zone kind of style shows, which there's very few of. Um, which is funny because I was having a friend of mine's a writer on Star Trek Discovery, and I asked, what do you prefer? Is there a writer's perspective on the old fashioned, 90s Star Trek approach, next gen Voyager kind of adventure of the week versus, and the response I got was all the best episodes of next gen couldn't have existed in the way that they're made today. Like the episode that they specifically cited was The Measure of a Man, where Picard and Riker have to face off like lawyers against each other to determine if Data counts as a
Great
person
episode.
with bodily
Yeah.
autonomy. It's one of the greatest episodes of TV ever made. It's incredible. And they were like, it serves no bigger narrative purpose. It's just this week on Star Trek, it said that, we sacrifice pretty meaningful opportunities actually to only ever make that. But
Well,
also
when
it
you only
means you
have
can't
10
do long form
episodes, you have to
content.
make them count.
Well,
If you've got 10
that's
episodes.
well, and a 10 episode arc is also very like fertile ground to tell a real meaty story as well. So it's like I see the trade-offs and it's interesting, but
I do feel like Mandalorian kind of has done a Monster of the Week kind of vibe.
yeah,
For
they
the first
definitely
season, it was awesome. For the first season, they nailed it. And then
Yeah.
the late seasons, I have no opinion on at all.
we actually initially
Uh,
experimented with exactly this, kind of making Dispatch more sitcom-y.
hmm.
Mm.
We had a whole writer's room in like Big Bear where the whole time we are just like, all right, what's the bit of the week? What is the thing that we're going to do? And I think it just eventually, when you're making something that's so about choice and consequence, like it kind of minimizes your opportunity for having your story but really your choices and decisions that you make carry over in that sort of structure. So we ended up going away from it, but we were definitely excited at the prospect of it. And there's definitely like, I think that's when we sort of, at least we're able to label like what each episode was kind of about in terms of its sort of like
Mm.
theming from that process. But it's really just telling kind of one story of this person making his way into this sort of like new point in his life. Yeah.
How do you pace the episodes then? I mean, there's no TV restrictions telling you that it has to be a certain length. How do you figure out
It's
how long to make each of them?
I think that we had a target, like I think we had a floor. I think we wanted to make sure that like from an animation perspective, like you have 30-ish minutes of cutscenes is what we were sort of budgeted for. And then the gameplay itself sort of varies based on how people play. And it's unique too, because like I just watched some streams of people playing episode 3. It's a big decision. And people sat on that pause screen for a really, really long time. Right
Yep.
there. So that's really gratifying,
Yeah.
those
Well, that
moments.
shows
So
you've done your job in the time leading up to it, right? Like, I know that's something Subsurface Circular, like every streamer I've ever watched playing that game, like there's just 10 minutes of pause before that last decision. I love it. It made like it shows, it's so cool, such a good feeling.
yeah, so it's super validating to see
Mhm.
that sort of stuff's working. So we can't really predict how long people take to play it, but roughly from at least like the thing that costs the most obviously is the animation. And so we had
Yeah.
to kind of budget that down to the second. And we definitely went over in many pockets, but we tried to make it a floor of about 30 minutes of like
And also, that's the stuff that there's a
animation content.
crazy lead time on, right? Like, you need to make those like, actually, I guess I'll phrase it as a question because I don't know the answer. Like, is that something that you have to get a crazy lead time on? Because when you're talking about the
Yeah.
tweaks you're making to later episodes, I assume you're not talking about like we're changing this scene. You're talking about like gameplay polish
UI
and
and
detail. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. We follow kind of a more traditional TV animation model, so which is pretty fast to be fair. Like when we were looking at estimates of turning around some of this stuff, when we're talking to sort of more like game-centric animation outsourcing companies that we all sort of know the names of, or like the places that like a Naughty Dog will use, they kind of laughed at the timelines we were looking at having. But once you go outside of games and you go into this cutthroat world of the animation, it's like, oh, this is what we do. We put out a show every year, so of course we can move at that pace.
Is that
So
just cultural, or is there like a technological hurt? Do games people overcomplicate it, do you think? Or is it just that the cultural expectation and frankly, who's getting the bids means that you have to just fucking be
yeah,
competitive?
I think what ends up happening is that studios like that work primarily with game studios are used to the level of iteration that's required in video games.
Mm.
So they almost like bake it
Mm.
into their timelines and their bids,
Right,
because
makes
they're like,
sense.
I know you're going to tell me that it's going to take this amount of time, but I know we're going to have to send it back. I know this whole section is going to get
Yeah.
cut and we're going to have to redo it in a different way. So whenever we were talking about it, no one was sort of, I mean, in a lot of ways, like it felt like, oh, okay. Oh, you think you can get it done in that amount of time? But the amount of that we got from both game side and the animation side was actually pretty wild because we talked to a lot of animation folks as well. And we had like this, like, I'm very proud of the fact that, even though it seems insane, I think we used like pretty much everything we animated, which is
I was
kind of
going to
unheard
ask if
of,
you
It's
had
how
any
it's
kind
meant to
of
be done, right? That's how
Yeah.
TV and film do. My wife works in animation. Like, they don't waste shit. If you've got a cut scene in an animation, you really fucked up. Like, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. Whereas games, we are so
Yeah,
wasteful in a way that completely is not
totally.
interrogated at all. Yeah.
I was curious if you had any if I don't I suppose possibly you might not be allowed to share this, but I was just curious if there was kind of stats on how many of these animation projects I've worked on. That's usually the conversation is, oh, we have, this many, um, you know, character animations set in engine. We have this many pre-baked scenes, especially in a world of branching narrative where you're going, this is, if there's a scene that can play out 3 different ways because of player agency, that sort of thing. I'm just curious if you knew any of those sort of stats on the scope of those animation lifts, because the impression I have from the game is that there's a ton, but I haven't played it. It's one of those, it's certainly the marketing convinced me, oh, there's a lot of like rocks to kick over and find stuff in the way that this unfolds, but I don't know, that could just be me projecting what I want also. So I'm curious if you had
I don't know.
A+.
Solid answer.
I was gonna dive in the middle of it to just be like, actually, let me jump ahead. I actually don't.
That would have been
You
wiser.
have to bring one of
The
my
longer you
There's
producers
delay,
no
on.
the more
way.
you
I could
There's
do
delay.
no
that.
way to cut it. You
Nah,
can't cut it off mid-flow. You got to just
nah.
let him ask the question.
Did you ever
I
see
just
the
wanted.
movie?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie with Judi Dench? Oh crap!
James Bond? Yeah.
Yes, one of those obscure.
GoldenEye.
No,
It's
Yeah.
strange how I
it's
couldn't come up with anything else.
it's
Yeah,
it's funny how no, it's I'm playing on the name of it. It's a movie where she plays a
Pride and
woman
Prejudice.
who's She's looking for. It was like a child had been taken by these.
This is the
nuns.
Australian, no, the Australian education stuff, right? It's like a girl's name or something.
Yes,
I know the one you
It's a
mean.
girl's name. Yes, it's like one of these like Stephen Frears kind of prestige.
Is it
British
Steve
dramas,
Coogan as well?
Yeah,
I
Steve
feel like
Coogan.
Steve.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I know
You
what
have
you're
my
talking about. I
attention.
can't think what it is. Yeah.
I'm trying to watch this.
This is good content.
Philomena.
Philomena, that's the one.
Anyway, there's a scene with the two of them in a car where she says, "Do you believe in God?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you mean, and there's different people have different interpretations." And he does this like mealy mouth thing forever, and, so I guess it just really depends. What about you? Yes. And it was just one of those like I was like, I relate way too much to the way that this dynamic between the two of them played out, and you just perfectly reminded me of that tendency of mine.
At least you know yourself.
Yep.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Important. It's important in life.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, to that end, I have to jump, I'm afraid. Very nice to meet you.
Wasn't that bad, Austin?
meet you.
You're fine. You're cool.
And you're like,
I gotta
"Please
go
hurry
kill
out the
myself.
door."
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. Okay. Enjoy. And
Go chatting.
I look forward to actually playing the game and reporting back and assessing your horniness as a writer.
Hope you love it.
I've high hopes.
Especially for episode 4.
Especially for episode
What
4.
it's all
Yeah.
about. All right, enjoy.
See
Carry
you,
on.
Austin.
Yeah.
I hope Austin's back on the next episode, and that wasn't the last time we ever
No,
talked to
that's
Austin.
it. Yeah, I decided
That's it. That's it over now.
I think we've
That's
had
a
enough.
shame.
I think we've had
It's been
enough.
6 years.
It has
yeah.
been 6 years of
Yeah.
that. And it's now he's embarrassing us in front of our good friend Pierre, and it's we gotta get rid of it. So from that, Pierre, my question was going to be: did you end up using a traditional animation house rather than?
Yeah, we partnered with a company called Igloo. They had done some stuff for Netflix, but not like too like high profile stuff, I like to think that we kind of were in similar spots where we were both kind of trying to prove ourselves, and
Mhm.
I think that
Yeah.
we leveled them up, and I think they didn't quite know what they signed up for when it comes to like working with Nick and Dennis and Derek Stratton, our art director. I think they didn't know that we were gonna like treat this like their Pixar, and that we have these high standards. A lot of the animation world too is like real set it and forget it. You kick a script over, and then they just pump stuff out, and you get like a list of changes, and it'll usually be a half dozen, and then they just keep it moving. We're a lot more exacting than that, and hopefully it shows. But I think that they're ultimately proud of the work that they've done with us, even if they've cursed our name for 2.5 years.
Oh, there's definitely like your face on a dartboard. Each individual
100%,
of the
yeah.
company, yeah, 100%.
It does
No,
look
it's nice.
amazing. though.
It's the benefit of having co-founders that are directors, that they get to be the sort of heat shield. Like I'll change something in the background, or be like, we should get rid of this scene. We should swap it with this, and they get to deliver the news. So
Look at you.
it's nice. hmm
How did you go about making that choice, like of which studio to work with? Because that does seem actually like an enormous task,
Yeah.
especially considering the wealth of it that's out there.
It's odd in that we probably talked to maybe a half dozen places, and some places that are just like, we talked to like Powerhouse, they do like dope work. And they were like, that was like maybe a bandwidth issue. They just didn't have it. They had a lot of projects in-house. And then we talked to other big places, and then we just kind of didn't like the way that they would go about it. Like for a long time, we thought we were going with a larger company that was going to kind of give us like a discount to kind of be a part of the production. But they wanted to do things in a much more like cutout sort of way, like just kind of like, I don't know, flash animation-y feeling kind of
Yeah.
like cheap TV stuff, right? Like
Toon
I
Boomy
think-
kind of cutout
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And I think that like Netflix, there's like a Netflix kind of style for the stuff that they just like throw out there. And I don't think that that's what we were after. We really wanted to be in 3D in particular, just because, assets and being able to carry stuff over, and how that can benefit us on the dev side when we're working on the gameplay. So yeah, so we went with Igloo, and weirdly they sent us a an animation test. They were like the first person we talked to, and I think we talked to probably a dozen other people after that, and we ended up going with them. I don't know what we thought we were going to find out there. We could have got started sooner had we.
I
We
think
just
that's
realized
how
what
it
we had.
works, though. Like every time I've had to find like an outsourcer or a partner for something, like it's so often the first person you talk to. But you do need to get out
Yeah,
there and make sure that you're making a good choice
make
to
sure
feel
it's the
right
right
about it,
pick.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and I'm
yeah,
happy with how it went. Obviously, I'm stoked with the results. So yeah, it worked out for us.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
it does.
What when as a writer, what do the scripts look like that you're sending to them? Are you storyboarding or do they do that part?
So we handled the pre-production in-house. We worked with Turnus, one of our animation producers. He like put together animation like studios for years, and we were really lucky to bring him in. He basically handled a lot of the storyboarding and stuff that I think most of it was done in Vancouver
Hmm.
because tax credits,
Yep.
like things like this. We're an expensive game, but we were lean, like we spent every
Mm.
nickel. And the, yeah, by the time we got out to Canada, they just have like a wealth of talent up there for the
Yep.
Canadian tax benefit
Yeah.
reasons. And yeah, I think most of it happened in Vancouver. So we would handle the storyboard side
Hmm.
with them and then send that over to Igloo in Thailand and then go from there.
Interesting. Yeah, I just like have no concept of how this kind of thing works for video games, especially because I guess
Hmm.
Dispatch is a pretty unique video game. Like I've not seen many video games that look like it.
Yeah, I've gotten really good at noticing people suppressing yawns. Just yawn, Alana.
I
Just
did just
yawn.
suppress a yawn.
I saw it.
Right.
I saw you.
I'm
It's like a
trying.
neck strain that happens. Like
Mm.
this is boring stuff. I
I
don't know
can't
why
read.
you want to
No,
know
it's
all
not that
this.
it's boring.
No,
It's that I'm
no,
always
no, no.
tired.
Yeah,
Literally always.
no.
And I'm sick, you know.
Oh
People
no.
want people like us talking about minutia like this. This is the stuff, and I feel like
Yeah.
every episode where we have a guest, they always apologize about the minutia. It's like,
Hmm.
no, that's the gold.
Oh
That's the
yeah, no, get
shit.
as nerdy
Actually,
as
That's the
possible,
shit
man.
can I
people
just talk
like.
about
Yeah,
some random shit then?
Go
do
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
This is your platform.
Um,
Go for it.
The
As
what
long
the
as it's about the
what's your
game. Like if
yeah.
it's, we don't want to get too political or anything, but yeah, go for it.
No, get political if you
Right.
want.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Get
That's
go
actually
political.
what
Yeah,
I
we
was
can
going
get
to do.
political.
go
That's fine. Yeah.
ahead.
How do you guys feel about generative AI?
For it.
I Yeah, I
You've
think it's
really
going to
turned
change the
me around in
industry.
this podcast.
It's like I've always said, the important thing about games is that we make them as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that we have
Hmm.
as
That's
much
what's important. Yeah. The
I
least
want to
amount of
spend my
human.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to spend my time fixing mistakes made by a stupid computer program. Yeah,
Yep.
that's how I'd like to live my life.
Yep. That's the consensus.
Um, what is it? So I was grabbing lunch with Joel Burgess,
Mm.
and he has a studio, and we're talking about I don't know. We ended up talking about like choice and the illusion of choice, and like kind of
Hmm.
the debates that rage in the comments and all this stuff. And I do think that there was a point in time where choices matter was kind of like the line at Telltale, where it was like kind of marketed against it. And I think it basically got interpreted as meaning every choice matters in the way that I want it to matter, right? Which is not accurate, not possible, right? I
Yeah.
think people think that there's all these like I definitely think that the first time I played The Walking Dead, which was, a cool experience, I definitely thought that there was like a multiverse where you just stay on the farm with Herschel and you don't actually leave, right? For instance, right? Because I didn't understand like budgets. I didn't
Believing that
understand
is as valuable as it being
for
true
sure,
True.
and
for
much
sure.
easier to produce. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes we'd refer to it as like that the negative space. It's like the path not
Yeah.
taken is kind of like you populate that, yourselves. And I think the choices matter stuff like got kind of co-opted into like your choices only matter if like every single decision you make has like some crazy outcome at the end,
Mm.
which I
Mm.
just think is like one, it's impossible, right, to do on a budget. It's also impossible to do it while maintaining a story that feels structured and builds and like
Satisfying.
Yeah.
if exactly like if there's a
The choices of the
dramatic like
writer
arc.
also matter, you know? Yeah.
100%, right? And you want to curate it for people because if like
Mhm.
if you just gave folks what they're sometimes asking for, it'll be like, well, I want to leave the room. It's like, okay, that's where all the drama was happening. Now it's just like, I guess we could let you do that. It's like Like there's only one meal here. You could piss in it, if you want, I guess. But then I think that you end up with the shitty meal.
Yeah.
And you paid for it. So I don't want to do that. I want it to be curated. And I think that actually has plagued probably a lot of narrative projects in between Telltale and now, where they're so about giving you agency that it leads to the story being really hard to keep tight and entertaining and feel like it has a dramatic build and just be successful as a
It's a
story.
tough trade-off
And I think
to
these
make.
story totally, and story-driven stuff, I think, is just the most important thing is the story is good. We had a hard time getting funding at certain points because people want to comp out what type of genre you're in, right? And they look at what we do and they go, well, this, and this didn't really make any money, so we don't think you're going to make money. I'm just looking over there like, the stories kind of sucked. It's a story game, so I don't know, like there wasn't a whole much else you were offering, so how can you compare them to us? But it became a struggle. So hopefully, like, this is starting to shift. There's definitely choices in our game that like people will pause for. And then an insight that Joel had is like, well, in design, like, working on because he worked on a lot of open world games, Skyrim, Fallout, things like this. Like, you bust open a barrel and, maybe you'll get a couple coins, maybe you'll get something, maybe you'll get nothing, right? And then sometimes you bust up in a barrel and there's a fucking gold bar in it, and that's sort of what choices, in these games. You need the choices that just sort of add up to the vibe and crafting your playthrough experience. And then you need those gold bars too. And sometimes you won't know what's what. And I think that's part of the magic.
We underestimate as well, I think, the importance of player expression and choice as player expression. We think of the choice as like a mechanical input output, but it's not that. Like the number of choices you make in a game, as you say, the path you do, the things you interact with. But like, I'm playing a game at the moment with a character creator. That was a good 20 minutes character creator. Every single time I start a game with a character creator. Definitely with the stuff I've done where it's been, choice driven or it's interactive to some extent. I've put in the choices that people talk about and the choices people care about, the ones that have no material outcome. They're just, I wanted to be a bit sassy to that guy or not. And it has you don't need to have a mechanic behind that where you're tracking how sassy the player was and you have different things happen based on their level of sass. They got to express themselves. And that was the outcome they were looking for, and they moved on, and that's fine. And I think that's something we are maturing to get. And the audience, I think, are maturing to understand that they don't really want infinite outcomes, really.
For sure. And I think I think every time they press a button, or anyone presses a button, it's a moment of investment, right? Like, I was looking at people's reactions to the end of episode 2, and I don't know, like, people feel this moment very personally because they've actually been role playing as the character. They've been putting themselves in this position in a way that I don't think is the same in a passive medium. When I press a button, when I make a dialogue choice, I'm crafting my experience and I'm sort of co-authoring the story in a way that when you feel that hurt, or when someone looks in your eyes and you think that there's a moment that you're interpreting, or you receive some hurt or like a bummer moment that without being too spoilery ends episode 2, like I see people crashing out on stream. That's the great thing about people like being able to see your audience react.
They just incrementally invested exponentially, right? Like they've invested on top of investment on top of investment, and all of that cumulatively takes them to the point of that. Yeah.
Well, that one's so specific too, because like I didn't know that was coming, but it's so specific because it's like you have an idea of a direction that you want something to head in throughout the course of the entire game, and then you're like, oh, this can't head in that direction.
And that's life.
I took it personally.
That's removing a choice from the sound of it, right? That's limit. What you just described is I've not played it to that point, but the possibility space collapsing.
Yeah,
and that's satisfying.
At least you walk away from it feeling that way, and you have to deal with that feeling. whether it plays out that way or
But
not.
that flies in the face of where we were at, as you're rightly saying. Like 10 years ago, we were saying no choices; it should just keep expanding and expanding. The idea of
Right.
actually using even a time limited collapse of possibility space to get an emotional reaction, that's a level of maturity that we just didn't have when we were having these
I
conversations a
think
decade
it's
ago.
still very
Yeah.
tough in that you have infinite choices and everything you do will give you a different ending to someone else is such appealing marketing. I
It
think you
is.
can
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
no,
shoot
it
yourself
is.
in
And
the
it's
foot
usually
by being
marketing that
misleading.
pushes for that to be said. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
I worked
Yeah.
on I think I worked on season 2 of Walking Dead, and in that season, we we didn't think there'd be a season 3, so we basically listened to the critics and was like, okay, what you want is multiple endings. Okay, fuck it, let's do multiple endings, right? And at that time, I figured at the very least, I'm not working on season 3, so it felt like we were writing checks I didn't have to cash, you know. So we had like 3 or maybe 4 endings. Maybe there's 3 endings, and what we found was that like it completely like fractured the audience in terms of
Mm.
like the endings that they get, right? And in some cases, like you'll make a decision of at the end of the if you haven't played by now, fuck you. But at the end, Clementine basically makes a choice of like go with one of two or choose between these two people or go it alone, right? And some people would choose what they thought was right, maybe morally, or what was right in their heart, or thinking about what Clementine wants. But then what we found was that like people would get endings that didn't grok with what they wanted dramatically, right? So
Hmm.
they got the ending that they chose, but then when they got there, it was like they felt a little bit more empty, you know? And then
Hmm.
you watch them play through, or like in some cases, I saw people basically play through and then immediately go and watch like, a VOD of The Path Not Taken and cry because
Hmm.
that's actually the one they wanted emotionally, even though their head
Hmm.
was telling them that this is the route. So it's really hard to sort of map a satisfying outcome for the player when there's that much chaos. And it's hard enough to write a good ending. It's hard enough to make people feel anything. Like there's all these like difficult things we're trying to accomplish it as it is. And then there's this difficulty modifier of like, how do we map their experience well enough that like all of these are going to resonate with them when they're all different human beings that certain things are going to matter to them, certain things won't.
With the Walking
So
Dead
it's
example,
tough.
did you find that people were like, was there one particular ending that you found people were gravitating towards?
Well, emotionally 100%, because you basically have one ending that's like with Kenny, who you've had 2 seasons with. So there's just like something about that story ending or feeling like it's ending that is just going to be always going to be more of a payoff and more
Yeah.
resonant across, however, at that point, 20 hours of being with this person and seeing this complete like up and down and like with the sort of emotionality, like the emotion that the character went through. And so that was always going to like crush people. That one was. And what sucks is like we knew it. I'm not saying this because I wrote it, but I am saying that when I wrote it, I was like, oh, like we had I don't know if any of you know Laura Perisco, but Laura would always play the games internally at Telltale. She worked in marketing, and I was like, oh, this is gonna fucking destroy Laura. That was my gauge. And like she comes over
That's the
tear
goal.
streaming after she plays through the yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So we found it, right? We found something that's gonna be resonant with people. And then we threw it into a randomizer. And it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like so I feel bad because it's like people didn't get the thing that they wanted emotionally because
Hmm.
Mm.
they kind of were torn by whatever inputs there might be in their brain at that point to determine what the outcome should be for Clem. But we knew that we had one that was a very resonant end to the drama of the series, the actual story we're telling. So yeah,
Hmm. So
it's
how
it's
do you
tough.
make that call between like player agency and the best storytelling? How did you approach that in Dispatch?
I mean, I think so. It's reasonable to say that there are a couple outcomes, like at the end of the series that uh will split rooms, you know. Um but I do think that it's the most important thing to us is to tell a good story. And I think owning part, like co-authoring that story with people is what we set out for. But I don't think we were looking to, I mean, and we couldn't afford to create a situation where it's like more of a David Cage style experience, where it's just like you have this 10 billion outcomes, like
Yeah.
because I just can't write that many good endings is what it boils down to, or our team can't write that many good endings. So we wrote as many as we could.
I respect that level of editing. I respect that level of awareness of your capacity
Yeah, I
without
was gonna say,
criticizing anyone
can
else's
anybody?
writing.
Can anybody?
I
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we'll see too. It hasn't come out yet, so hopefully we stick the landing with folks.
No, you said it was perfect, and anyone who doesn't like it is an idiot, right? That was
Oh,
my
it's true.
understanding of what you said.
That's what- yeah.
Two things could be true.
Yeah. Yeah, we've come full circle. See how well written that was. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and nobody
That's
had a
good.
choice. It's great.
And if you don't like it, just go play season 2 of The Walking Dead and choose Kenny at the end.
This definitely doesn't haunt you at night. Isn't it a thing though that sometimes Mike was the one who told me this, so if it's not true, you can get mad at him.
Well, don't throw me under the bus.
It was Mike Bickle.
I
Here's his
disavow
address.
whatever.
He doesn't have a social security number, but if he did, I would give it to you.
Yeah.
That sometimes Telltale games, it would have in the top corner, it would tell you like someone will remember that, even though they wouldn't, just to make the player feel like there was an impact.
100%.
It's such a cool trick.
You might have even been the one who told me that back in the day.
I
I can't
might
remember if
have.
it was you or someone else.
I might have broken.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Like, this isn't just what it is. Look, I look at it like I'm making entertainment. I know that seems silly to just make it so base, but like I'm looking to make entertainment. If you found that to be entertaining, if it made you clench, if it made you, then it's doing its job. Like the illusion is the point. Like
We're
in
magicians.
a lot of ways.
Like, yeah.
100,
The
that's a perfect
woman
one.
is not in the box about to be sliced in half. It's all a
This
lie.
is I use this all the time, like I feel like I read these comments from folks who are just like, well, none of these choices matter. It's like, what's your definition of mattering? And also if something needs to be like real, like are you the guy like fucking standing up at the magic show just like bullshit? It's like, what did you paid to be here? Like, why are you just ruining your own shit? Like, you bought the game. Like,
Do you
you
think
should
that's
enjoy
part
it the
of-
way you. Yeah.
Do you think
For
that's
what it is.
partly? I wonder sometimes if that's just an outcome of us. And I'm not suggesting we change this. This podcast is not crazy, but like, is that just an outcome of us being games? That games historically
100%.
were about you win something. It's a fair game.
Yeah.
And we're kind of,
Well-
by definition, single player games are never fair. They're never an actual test of your skill or your choices. They are
Yeah.
entertainment being put on for you, an interactive show. I
think
wonder if
it
that's
just
where that
takes-
comes from.
Absolutely. I think the games is so many different genres, like so many different types of experiences, like Balatro to be a game of the year contender next to, the giant open world experience. Like these are not like Balatro can exist inside of GTA 6, and it wouldn't be weird. There's probably going to be shit like that in GTA 6, right? So like games encompasses so many things. It's just like interactive entertainment is kind of how I view it. And I think that people just have different, I think it's a very value driven thing too. It's one of the last things that like pieces of entertainment like this that people purchase, right? Like like most people are used to streaming everything now.
Thank God to all of them for doing so. Please keep that up.
Absolutely. And I get the value proposition, but it's also relative. I went to the movies yesterday and watched Begonia. $60. Spent $60 going to the movies. 2 people, just buy some popcorn. Buy some
Did you need
tickets,
4
like-
tubs of popcorn though? Could you not have gone
I
by
do.
with just
I
sharing
do.
one large popcorn? Yeah.
100% I do. But yeah, that's an example. It's like I need my bucket of Diet Coke, like my trash can of Diet Coke. And I need a big old popcorn because it's only 25 cents more to go to large, so when I
well, you're an idiot
value.
not to get it in those circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's value driven. So I think that there's certainly the value proposition that is a factor in games. I also think though that I think people want it to mean something, but they don't want to feel like they're being fooled, right? I think is part of the baby instinct. And I don't want anyone to feel fooled. It's like I want you to show up, play the game, and know that like some of the choices are going to have massive implications. Some of the choices are just keeping you invested and getting you to help shape and co-author the story and curate it, to what you want to say in that moment. And some of those things matter and some of those things don't. But that does not change the experience for you. If it means that you lean forward, if it means that when you feel a moment of heartbreak, like it stings a little bit in a way that you didn't feel when you went to the movies, that was the point. So
Well, this is the thing.
Why are you being a weirdo about it? You know?
Yeah. This is where I think we can also learn from magicians a little bit. I was listening to a podcast the other day that made the point that I'd never really thought about this as
Not
I
a
never
sentence
thought
I really ever
this.
thought I would hear.
Mm-hmm.
Magicians are not stage psychics. Stage psychics go on stage and go, "Oh, I'm seeing a Ben,
Yeah.
a Brian. Does that name mean anything to anyone in the audience?" Magician does the exact same thing, but all magicians, there's a social contract with the audience that I am here to lie to you. I'm here to trick you. I'm here to manipulate your perspective. Magicians are profoundly honest about the fact that they're lying, and a lot of the excellent magicians actively make that part of their act. Like Penn and Teller, for example. I've been to a couple of their shows over the years, and like they're like, "We are tricking you here. This is not. We wouldn't do this for real." Blah blah blah. I wonder
They're
if
the masters of double juke too, where they'll show you how they do a trick, and then they'll show you how they, and then they'll do some zhuzh on it.
And that wasn't how they did the trick. They'll give you a completely false explanation. I do wonder if game makers, if there's some lessons there for us to learn about kind of creating a social contract with the audience that we are saying to them, like, we're going to be dishonest with you, we can lie. I wonder if there's some way of framing that.
We were having a conversation with Tonda Ross, who's the creator of Blueprints, and he was talking about trust and how important trust is with making Blueprints specifically, where it was like you had to show people early on or in specific ways, even though they're getting rooms out of order when they play that game, that they could solve the riddles in front of them. Like he would sometimes you would in theory have already solved something, and then you would find a clue for it, and how that was partly intentional to have like a very early clue, maybe a little later in the game, just to prove to you that you would know that there would eventually be something that would like give you the breadcrumb, so that for the more complex puzzles, the further along the game goes, that you have faith that there will be something that will help you if you get stuck. And like how important that concept of trust is obviously very relevant to a puzzle game, but I think the exact same thing applies to any kind of branching narrative.
I think a lot of games. Yeah, I remember my good friend Adam Hines, Oxenfree, like works at Netflix now. I remember asking him about Bloodborne, so I was fucking furious at it. I'm like, this fucking shit's broken. I'm a way better gamer than this. And he just told me, like, just always remember the game is fair. It's absolutely fair. You might not be good enough yet, but it's fair. And it was a really helpful thing to sort of remind myself of as I went through that game, because I think that's the thing, is you don't want to feel like you're being like manipulated, right? And I think that's maybe the part that has affected the interactive narrative space, is that people feel like with like the marketing of choices matter. The marketing isn't every choice matters. It's the choices matter, and that's true, in every sense. And depending on what your definition of it is, I think every choice matters. I absolutely do, because I think every choice is an expression of you, like, and you connecting with a character, you making it easier for you to role play and put yourself in that character's shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it, is like, even if I'm sure that there have been some games that have marketed as every choice matters. I feel like I can see that flavor text on some marketing team's trailer, but I think you're right.
I guarantee that game story kind of sucks. That's what I could guarantee.
In the defense,
they're having to sell it that way, yeah.
In defense of marketing teams, so much bad marketing copy for interactive fiction stuff is caused by the fact that we can't say choose your own adventure, because that's a trademark term that we're not allowed to use.
No way, really?
So much of this is people picking up a thesaurus. Yeah, so they're apparently, according to reports I have heard, and I can only speak in alleged terms, quite litigious about it.
Who has that trademark?
the create Choose Your Own Adventure was like a book series in like the 80s. So it's
No
just like
way.
it's turned.
You
So none of us can
basically,
use that when talking about interactive fiction because Choose Your Own Adventure would
Holy shit,
describe
you're
what
right.
we're
It's a
talking
book
about much
series.
better.
Wow. I had no
So we got to
idea.
be better. So
I
I think a
am,
lot of the time these terms come from people trying to avoid that term and
I feel
swing
very
too far
old
somewhere else. Yeah.
because I read
Oh,
the shit out
that's
of those
just
as a kid.
yeah. I've got them downstairs. It's
I,
this is
I,
Oh,
not
they're not
breaking
that
you
for
would,
me.
old.
Alana, you would read them like this, basically, right? With your fingers holding the previous pages you
The
were
quick
on
save,
because
the
they
quick
had,
save pinch.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had fail states. So you could be reading this book and it's just like, you're dead now. It's like, fuck, am I
Oh,
going to
well, I
start
did that
over?
with like some of the Goosebumps when I was a kid,
Hmm.
which is like the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
kind of thing
yeah.
where you could accidentally like
Hmm.
fail
Oh yeah,
somehow
they
and
did
then
do
have
some
to.
like interactive
But
Goosebump
I
books, didn't
really
they? That
thought
were
they were
kind of
called
yeah.
Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure. I didn't know that they weren't, but you're right. This
They
is a
might
whole
have had
shit.
like a licensing deal with Goosebumps. It's possible, but like colloquially, yes, all of those books were always referred to as that. But we're not allowed to use that for marketing. So I do think sometimes all choices
That makes
matter
a
and
ton of
whatever.
sense.
I wonder if they're just kind of circling, trying to make a phrase that sounds as
Hmm.
good as because Choose Your Own Adventure is a brilliant way of describing interactive fiction.
The Goosebumps
Absolutely.
ones were called
Yeah.
Give Yourself Goosebumps,
There you go.
not Choose Your Own
That's
Adventure.
okay. That could work for all kinds of genres. Yeah.
And then it says, Reader beware, you choose the scare.
That's a
What is it?
clever
It
way
Yeah.
around
rhymes.
it. You
Mm,
choose the scare. That's a good
mm.
way of
We were
tiptoeing
doing
up
the
to the
exact same
line.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no, it is I think that you're totally right that the power of the choice is not in having five different endings. It is more in making you consider the stakes in real time, right? And like invest in what's
Yeah.
happening in the story routinely. Like I know that one of the things that happens in I think it's episode one, depending on what you throw at Flambe, there's like a different outcome. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Bunny, who is well, one of the voice actors, and she's not really a gamer, and she was like amazed by the fact that that choice just had a visual change, and she was like, "How did they?" How did they for the whole time? Like it was really interesting to like hear someone who's not a
Uh,
gamer be like, she was like
so
genuinely like,
expensive.
what? Genuinely?
So much money. So much money spent on stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and so we
Crazy.
do, we do try to like min-max it, right? Like we want the choices that are going to be expensive to be resonant, right? And
Mm.
feel like you can track it throughout. I also think that like when we end up for every one of those, I think it just lets people know that like, okay, it's just a reminder, like not all of these are just kind of you shaping this conversation. Some of these are actually going to have meaningful outcomes that have lasting effects. So I think we we do our best to make sure that those are like sprinkled in like as needed,
Yeah.
throughout each episode, But that was an expensive one. This is why things like that are usually at the end of seasons. Like we don't have to
Yeah,
pay for this
you have
shit
to
for the
commit to that the
entire
whole way,
season.
I
You
assume.
don't have
Yeah.
to re-render every subsequent scene to
Exactly.
have the different color
Exactly.
hat on. Yeah, yeah.
But hair grows
Hmm.
back and people can go to dentists. So thankfully, like
Nice.
we don't have to carry it the whole way. Yeah.
You get that fixed. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is an interesting trade. So like choose which of those matters and which doesn't. I've wondered for a while if every gamer really like in theory wants an immersive sim. Like I think what they think they want is an immersive
I
sim. I
don't
don't know
think
if they
so.
actually do, but I think like most people like I want all of this and I want every choice amount. I wanted a procedural maybe, and I think
Life
it's
is
like
boring. We cut to all the good shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I think when people I like the cinematic version of a lot of like open world games would be such a nightmare. For every one awesome like fetch quest where I think about Red Dead Redemption. I mean, they did a couple of these really well, right? Where they just drop like a soundtrack or a D'Angelo song plays like
so
during a
good.
really pivotal
It's one of my
moment.
favorite moments in
Like,
probably any video game ever is that
truly,
moment.
truly. I didn't actually know that was D'Angelo until he passed. Like, so that was even crazier. I was a huge fan of his music. Um,
So good.
and yeah, so I mean, for every one of those you also have like what 100 others that are just like fuck, where do I gotta go? Can I take the train? God damn it. All right, I can't take the train.
I'm
It's
not sure that
not
Red
even
Dead 2
worth
is a
it.
great example. Like, I'm like,
Sure.
Yeah.
maybe, any other, but that one in particular, they're very good at
But
that.
that, as someone with like ADHD, though, that was tough for me. It's just like,
Yeah.
I guess I gotta kill every animal on the way to this, and it's gonna take me 10 hours to complete this one
I
fetch
gotta
quest, you know?
I gotta skin all this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I
If
think
you
that
watch a
like
Western,
people,
there's a lot of slow walking, though. I will stand up for it in that sense. It
it's
captures the
true.
genre well, you know?
No, look, truly, I
It's a lot
think
of
that
how long are they going to be on the horses for? There's a lot of that when you're watching an
True.
old Western.
True.
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
Dead Redemption to me is the best. Like, when I think of like what's the best story or best writing in games, Red Dead Redemption is number one for me.
1 or
Because
2?
it's so consistent. Two. Two. But it's so consistent and there's so much of it.
It's
Do you
so
know what I
good.
mean? For them
Mm.
to like keep that bar that high for that much content is insane, you know?
Yeah.
And still manage to tell a story. Like it's also I would argue it's like I think this is the greatest prequel of anything ever made. Like for them to
Mm.
min-max that storyline that like and have it weave so well into their previous game and just
Which was also
and
very
have
well
into so
received.
much depth.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I truly think that. I mean, I guess it's a hot take based on how quiet it got, but
Oh, no,
I
no, no.
can't
That
think
game
of
is
anything.
No,
fucking
I agree.
incredible. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
It's
Yeah,
so
I can't. I'm
wild.
trying to
Yeah,
think of other prequels.
it's a tough thing to do, right? You've inherited all these threads, and you're kind of like, you know where the end is, you know. So it also means that
Mm.
certain characters, there's some of the stakes are taken out because you know they're going to live, right? Because they're in the next one. But somehow it's still a fantastic story, and that just,
Andor would
I
probably be the
wept.
only thing I would
I was
throw
gonna
out.
make a Phantom Menace joke, but
Yeah, no,
Andor
but
is
Andor,
Andor
Andor,
is probably
I
it.
can make a case that Andor is a solid prequel. I can make that case.
I I'm where I think we all know Tom Bissell. Is it the
I
case?
don't know him, but I'm constantly mistaken for him in various times I meet people. They're
That
like,
would make
I
sense.
loved his art because of our names being weirdly similar. Yes, yeah.
you guys get along
But
great.
yeah,
He's
but
great.
I've heard
I
this. I've heard he's great. I do want to meet him at some point. Sorry, go
Tom's the
on.
best. I kind of feel like I might have gotten my first gig at Telltale because I just basically like was listening to his book, Extra Lives on repeat, and I just sounded smarter by
He's
mimicking
parroting
and
Tom
saying
Bissell.
the things
Yeah.
that he
Nice.
said. Yeah, like I totally think that's the case. Like, and I love that book.
Mm.
I think yeah, and I haven't, but I haven't. I keep bouncing off of Andor. I have no idea why. Don't know what
Haven't
it is. I keep
Interesting.
trying.
haven't started.
Hot
Austin would yell
take.
at you if he was still here.
I know. No, but I think that I'm sure it's good. I watch Michael
How
Clayton
have
probably
you
every
avoided
3 months.
Andor, Alana? How have you?
Yeah.
Surely Rahul's watching that like once a week.
Star Wars is dead to him.
He needs to
Whoa.
make room in his heart for Andor. It's the best
He's
thing
been
they've
Whoa.
done
told,
in a
and I'm
long
the one who
time.
keeps being like, "Hey, can we watch Andor, please?" And he's like, "I'm not ready
Whoa.
yet."
I'm getting on a fucking plane. We're gonna make this
What
happen.
killed it? What killed it for him?
Oh, the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan,
Oh yeah.
and how
I didn't watch
bad it
those.
all got there.
I didn't watch
It
those.
wasn't
Yeah.
the Book of Boba Fett. I also had to quit Star Wars for a minute because it made me feel like an angry Redditor. And I was like, oh
Mm.
no, I'm becoming one of them. Because it ended and I was like, this is fucking bullshit. And I was like, oh no, I shouldn't be. I should just walk away from a thing I don't like. But I was actually really mad at it. And so I
Mm.
stepped back for a
I
minute.
don't
But
feel
Rahul is now
I don't get
playing
that passionate
Outlaws. I don't usually either in a negative way. So
about
that's why I
stuff.
was
Yeah.
like, I'm
Everything's
out.
so hard to make. Even shitty things are so hard to make.
It's true.
I have empathy,
Especially shitty things. Especially shitty
hmm
I
things.
think Star
They
Yeah.
are
Wars
usually the
is
hardest.
tough because it's
Mhm.
like, it's a lifelong investment, so people can sometimes feel personally betrayed. Like I often feel that way
Well,
with like
he cares. Like
that's
he
why I became an
cares about
actor.
that franchise. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about video games where like I think that there are parts of the audience that are incredibly shitty, but I will also say there are parts of the audience that are like extremely passionate, and I do think part of that comes with the interactive nature of the medium. You feel like it's a
Hmm.
part of you. You're invested
Yeah.
because you are, forced to have empathy and forced to go on these journeys. Not forced, but you know what I mean. You go on
I
these
mean, people
journeys.
get yeah, people get invested and connected to like inanimate objects. So like we're very humans are very good at that, at, like imprinting on stuff. But I think games, you're right, invite it more than most things.
Yeah.
But
And there's
Andor, you should watch
obviously
Andor. Please watch Andor.
that's the
I want
takeaway
to have
from
a
this
long
episode, everybody.
conversation.
Thanks for coming, Pierre. Everybody, watch Andor.
It's like I always
I
say, don't
have,
play video games. Don't waste your time
yeah,
playing a video game.
As
Go
you
and
always
watch
say.
Andor. That's what I always say.
I
Else you,
haven't, I
else you wouldn't
haven't
be happy.
had the time, but I think I have time now. On the other side of releasing
Because
the
you've
next 2 episodes.
released Dispatch, an amazing video game
It's a
that
long
everyone's
time coming.
loving. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
You've been
how long
working
has
on
it
it
been
for a long
developed for?
time, right?
Yeah, God, 6 years maybe,
Oh
like
my
on and
God.
off for 6 years.
Damn.
Yeah, so
It's a big investment of
that'll
time,
be.
yeah.
Yeah, and it took a lot of different forms along the way, but yeah, in and around 6 years, I'd say.
Does the
So
release
time.
feel real yet, or does it? I guess it
No, I
doesn't
feel
until the
nothing.
last episode, right? Yeah, that
I've been,
period on a regular release, I'm numb for like 3 weeks, but like with an
yeah,
episodic thing, I imagine that just prolongs it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
felt nothing for
yeah.
it's come out.
Oh.
I thought it would be a big relief, but I guess the one thing that's nice is if people are liking it, which seems like they so far are, I do think that there's a little bit of like am I washed kind of feelings that I was having in the last couple of years when I look back at when I look at the story, like a guy dealing with like uh a professional like disaster. It's hard for me not to now see it and go, oh yeah, I was going through some shit
Yeah.
similarly. Um, had a couple projects blow up. Felt like I made the wrong decision in some cases of like which project to go forward with. I had a lot of cool job offers coming out of Telltale, like with like, and they were all games that shipped. You know what I mean? Like in the
Mhm.
interim between me releasing something, and every time one would come out and be like, Ghost of Tsushima would have been cool, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like that. It's like, and it's almost worse that it's good, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
damn
That's
it,
what
you
really
know?
stings. Yeah, no, that's what really stings.
Hmm.
That yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Am I
there's
crazy? Didn't you
more
also
in
work
it.
at Ubisoft?
Yeah, we worked at Ubisoft. Uh we basically were gonna start, start a studio coming straight out of Telltale, but then we talked to Ubi and they convinced us to come over because they wanted to make like kind of an Uncharted style Splinter Cell game. And we were all Splinter Cell fans. And so it was like, fuck it, let's go. And I think we
Speaking of mediocre
basically,
Netflix animation, sorry, Karen.
yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, so we worked at Ubisoft for a minute on that,
Mm.
and we just weren't getting traction. I think like I really think that I don't know if I should talk shit about. Yeah, I could talk shit. I'm never gonna fucking work for Ubisoft again. Fuck that shit. Um, like they just had this weird like structure where you had to like fly to France and then pitch a bunch of fucking old people that don't play video games anymore and convince them that you had something of value. And
Hmm.
it just was like I they couldn't see it, and it was not, and they were in a place where like they were just chasing stuff. Like from what I remember, like at the time it was just like, oh, like our like games as a service, like that's everything's gonna be a game as a service. And then so inevitably there's like, how do we turn Splinter Cell into game as a service? And you just start
Yeah.
like, and then over the course of months, as your eyes start to slowly roll further and further in the back of your head, like
Like,
we
yeah,
ended
this
up
is what we should do with
rebooting
the
it.
Telltale team. This is a great idea.
Yeah, no, and
So
like
that's the
what's
thing
fucked
that
is
AAA always does is they try and fit the wrong people into the wrong. I can never understand how you get to that point where you're pitching.
absolutely.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Ubisoft was run 10 years ago. I'm sure they're
Exactly,
doing
yeah.
things
Those
great
people.
Yeah, it's
now.
true. It's true. It's
They
true.
I'm
fixed
sure
everything.
Ubisoft have completely refreshed their management since then. It's not the same awful people in
Actually,
charge. I'm
they
sure of
actually
that, yeah.
have. They actually have.
Oh,
A
they
lot of the
have. Oh,
folks
fair
that
play. Oh,
that
fair play.
we had
Okay.
issue with have been cycled out. So
Okay.
that's a
Well,
good
that's
thing,
cool.
I think. So there's
That's
progress.
cool.
There's I mean, this is a random anecdote, but I do think too, a lot of times folks just like they happen to just like it just happens to land tails like 3 times in a row,
Yeah.
or I guess just heads. I don't know. Tails bad. Lands heads 3 times in a row, and you just end up on 3 great projects. But like you weren't necessarily the
My
person that
career.
was sort of
Good
moving
describing
the
it. Yeah.
needle.
Yeah.
I
There was
mean,
this
just
great
just as many people like land the other way, right? And have worked on like amazing
Yeah.
games that haven't shipped.
sure,
I know
sure,
people
sure,
who've been in the
exactly.
industry for a decade and never shipped anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
There's a story.
And that's not through fault of theirs, that's just being unlucky.
It's
Yeah.
like I mean, in the US, like we used to have way back in the day, we used to be able to call like a number and for like to get like a hot pick, like sports bets, right? So be like, hey,
Right.
NFL picks, call in, you're gonna get it's free, call in, and we're gonna give you a great pick. And then you call in and they'd be like, pick the Eagles, they're definitely gonna win, right? And then you'd hang up, you'd bet on the Eagles, you'd win. And then you'd call again, free. And they give you a pick. Pick the Chiefs this week. It's a lock. You put some money on Chiefs, you win. That happened for weeks, And then, in like the fifth or sixth round, they go, okay, look, you've won 5 in a row. Be cool, share a little bit. This pick's going to cost you $100, And then in all likelihood, pay your $100 because you're up all the way.
I can see
right?
the twist already, and I love it. I'm here for it.
And what these things like, and then something happens. You either win or you lose, but it doesn't matter because you got your $100. They just give half the callers one team and half the callers the other. So then each round it just funnels and halves, right? And then by the time you get to whatever, like you're just charging everyone who's left who happened to get the right pick.
You're just getting 100 quid from the probabilistic outcome that the person who got 5 heads in a row.
Someone's going to win.
That's
right?
a good call.
It's a binary outcome, right?
It's also how the stock market works, interestingly. So that's good.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people in high level positions who just like, they're just part of that group and they think they got there because of like how good they are at something. And I meet these people, I'm just like, I don't really understand what you do.
I mean, that's the mindset
you
every financially like massively successful person I've ever met is, I guess I'm smart and was right every single time. Because from their perspective, as you say, they're the randomly selected group that got through all the loops. Yeah, I've never met a multi-millionaire who didn't think they were a genius. Yeah, exactly.
It would take a lot, Yeah. So
yeah, you can actually fairly easily just be lucky 5 times in a row.
It's totally possible. It's totally possible. Yeah, how much more shit about the industry do we have to talk?
I'm trying to work out the exact probability of 5 heads in a row.
What's the thing? What's the thing that I said so far? That's going to get me.
You'll be fine.
In a board meeting.
Don't worry about it.
You're good. No one's watching at this point. Everyone's left at this point.
Everyone else at Ubisoft is awesome for what it's worth. Everyone who's still at Ubisoft.
All of them?
We're awesome.
You can't even say that because how would you know?
No, that's true. Not all of them.
Yeah.
No, we don't know.
You just endorse horrible people. I think you did.
Everybody did. Yeah, that's what I heard.
If any story comes out in the next 5 years about Ubisoft, you endorse those people and say they were fine.
They're all awesome.
Yeah, we'll re-release the episode when that happens.
God damn it! It's just like own goal at the very end.
you are coming up tails in every coin toss.
Amazing.
Well, I'm stoked that people like the game. Stoked that
it's really cool that people are, and it's beautiful. I genuinely am excited by how you're doing it as well. It's that thing where it feels fresh, and that's always exciting because we can all rip you off now. As an industry, we can copy all your good ideas.
Please,
and that's
please.
great.
I hope that more interactive narrative projects can get unblocked by this. Like, please,
but that genuinely. That will be happening right now. There will be people pitching narrative projects who can now point to Dispatch.
We can take advantage of the fact that all these business development people have no actual skill at picking anything, so they just follow what is successful, and hopefully, if this is successful enough,
there is someone
we can get
take it
at this moment copying your logo into a PDF. That is happening right now around the world.
I hope so.
It's happening. It is happening.
I hope so. I've been in this spot where I was doing the same with other successful projects.
Totally.
So
yeah.
It's all good.
It's one of the rare cases of the rising tide does lift all of us up. Like anyone who's playing in the narrative space is going to benefit in some way, directly or indirectly, from your success, which is great.
No, I think that like what's nice about the medium, or at least the genre, is that it's a pretty empty pool, like there aren't a lot of projects that come out every year.
Some would say you can build an incredible reputation just by releasing some relatively competent work. That's, some would say that.
And that's to me, like the cool thing about it. Yeah, we don't end up like when we were out pitching, everyone remembered our project because it just looked so different than like the half dozen things that they saw before and after, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that making something that is innovative, that feels fresh, I think these are all important things. And I think a lot of the publishers, a lot of the folks that you meet in BD, they're going to steer you towards stuff that feels familiar. And that's fine. I get it. You know, and you might even get funding from it, but
Mm.
it seems like hard to stick out in that market when you're battling against so
At
many
small
others, you know?
scale, I think you have to be innovative right now. I think
Yeah,
that is. I'll go stronger. You were caveating. I'm gonna say I genuinely think at small scale we have to be innovative.
I
Otherwise,
think so.
there's
Yeah.
I just think that's
Well,
where
and I
we're at
think
right now.
it can be rewarded. You know, I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of indie, awesome, cool games that are resonating with folks this year, and a lot
hmm
of the sort of tried and true auto-generated, let's put another one of these out projects are failing. And I think that's maybe why is like people want something that feels a little bit more specific. Like this
yeah.
game, we somehow ended up in a place where we didn't have to take anyone's notes that weren't our internal notes because we're publishing it ourselves. That's
It's a
nuts.
nice
But
place to be, especially with like presumably external funding. That's a very nice place to
for
be.
sure. So,
Yeah.
but we luckily ended up just stumble fucked our way to a place where we didn't have to take people's notes. So we live and die by it, and that's scary for sure. Like I don't have anyone to blame if this thing fails. You know, it's
Yeah.
on us.
Oh,
But I'll
I think
find
you're all right
someone.
there, Pierre. I don't
you'll
think
find
it's at
someone.
this point. I
I
don't think
think
it's
it
going
was
to
those
fail.
Ubisoft people. I think
It's
they were the
definitely that.
ones.
It's
Yeah.
probably that.
Yeah.
They sort of
Yeah.
You blame that
poisoned
man.
us from the jump.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that we've at least. I hope that people look at this year in particular and say like this we don't have to keep doing it the same way, you know, like we don't
Yeah.
have to our game costs less than marketing budgets of these games, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just it's strange that we throw money at so many things in this industry that isn't making something interesting and good,
I
you
think a
know.
lot of us are waking up to that. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of from the conversations I'm having with people. I don't know anyone who's trying to do things the way they were doing them a couple of years ago right now. I think everyone's trying weird new approaches. I think it's going to be a very interesting few years of game
for
releases
sure.
as a result of that, for sure. Because we're being forced to be creative and innovative by a shitty situation.
Yeah, and it's I think if you've survived through what has been such a tough time, like on the other side of it, maybe some fantastic, undeniable games are coming down the pipe, you know.
Mm.
One
Hope
would
so.
hope, one has to hope,
So
you know.
yeah. On that note, Pierre, where can people find you and where can people check out Dispatch?
I don't know. I'm just
Cool. I'll
making
leave
video
a link
games.
Nice.
Find me
in
on
the
LinkedIn.
description.
Find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I bet you got some amazing bullet
Actually,
point
please don't.
lists.
Actually, please
No,
don't
don't.
find me on
No,
LinkedIn right now.
no.
Please don't. Yeah, no, I'm yeah, ad hoc LA .com is our website. I don't know what else. Like, just check out the game. We're on Steam and PS5, and soon something else ish.
Huge.
Soon,
Huge news,
yeah.
huge. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks for joining us,
Thanks, Sean.
Pierre. Congratulations on
Yeah, it's just good chatting.
Dispatch. It's
It's
always good
nice.
to
It's nice to
chat.
chat.
Always
I
nice
know that's
catching
Thanks
up.
for making us not feel like it was recorded.
well, that's how this podcast
None of
works.
this was recorded. This is just
No,
me
we
and
just
Alana.
actually just got
Me and
you.
Alana are just very bad at reaching out to friends. So we've invented this
Hmm.
fictional podcast, which we
Is
use
this
to
over?
bait people into conversations.
Well,
Have you
almost.
stopped recording?
Hang on, let me I will thank you guys for watching. Bye.